Hello, everybody. It's a real honor and a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for having me out here. I don't think you guys appreciate the mindsets that you have. As Raj was saying, it's a real battle for us to win people over, and then once their minds, we've changed their frame of reference a bit, we can begin to implement these things. So what Smart initiated in Cape Town is extremely important and very, very valuable and appreciative. I mean, I'm going to tell you a story about how my mind was changed by crazy people like Dave and Sue and Tom. In 2007, I first met Dave, Sue, and Tom, and I was invited to the NMA, one of the first NMA think tanks in August of 2007 as a grassroots entrepreneur. They had a multifaceted approach to solving the problems related to urbanization, bringing together, as Claire mentioned, public sector, private sector, SMEs, NGOs, and wide-eyed entrepreneurs like myself. But as a busman and a businessman, I had an agenda. I had my own interests, and I had, and that's what I knew about. So, with every problem that they came up with, I was like, the bus is the solution. How do we have a single payment system? Buses. Use one mode of transport, and we'll get there. But bit by bit, I began to change my mind and slowly kind of listen to this talk of integration, modes, nodes, and all these funny things. But it was only when we won a tender from Investec, which is a big private bank in South Africa, which was to provide specifically a bus shuttle service for people who are using cars. But when I was workshopping with the employees of Investec, discussing the issues at play, how we can make this work, I decided that actually, in this case, carpooling would be the best solution, and until we had a larger scale. So it made me think, look, I'm not going to sit here and pitch something that I think is not really going to optimize the first stages of this pilot. So after that, I got together with Claire and a few other far brighter and more accomplished people than me, and we began to try and create the optimal working model that we could work with large employers, that we could use with large employers. And that was the approach, and from there we thought, okay, now how do we make money from this optimal approach? And that's what that's a very difficult problem is what I'm going to chat to you about. The business and capitalist rationale behind it was that as opposed to trying to make big margins at the beginning and pushing a certain agenda, we would rather go for smaller margins and make the best product, which would effectively enable us, there'll be fewer barriers, there'll be more barriers to entry. Copycats wouldn't be as interested in coming into somewhere where we weren't making large profits. So if we had just gone with bus and taken that short-term solution, other people could have come in and would have seen the kind of margins that we could have possibly made. Right, am I supposed to be changing slides? Okay. So our target market are large employers and their employees. The large employers should ideally rent a large portion of their parking bays because this is a cost we can directly save. The employees should be using cars and traveling by themselves, SOVs, and they should also have relatively fixed hours. Bear in mind that for the pilot, for a larger scale operation model, we can have more flexibility, but for the pilot, we're looking for very specific candidates. Sorry. So this is for phase one of the model. In phase two of the model, we would open it up to other business districts in Cape Town and to smaller businesses with fewer employees. But obviously, for the time being, we want to deal with large companies and large employers so we can really hone the systems in a very practical way. After the second phase, and once we've honed the Cape Town model, we want to bring this to other best fit developing cities around Africa, and after speaking to Augusta, maybe even in Brazil. And for those of you who were here yesterday, Africa is a very exciting place, and together with the guidance and mentorship of Smart, We want to take what Smart has taught us into Africa and use the same principles that they did to enter into Africa and what they've done in Chennai and bring it into other African countries. And I think with our experience in Cape Town, of Africa, and of the pilot, we could probably do a very, very good job. But before I get ahead of myself, this is how we plan to make some income and make this all viable, because it's the business case that we think is necessary to be able to drive it. We've got primary services, which are services that we would make direct income out of. And then there are information and facilitatory services that we would get a subscription of sorts from the company. We're basically going to be able to say to companies, we're going to decrease, we're going to give more time back to your employees, it'll be better for their well-being, we're going to decrease your carbon footprint, and various other arguments that we're going to say you need to pay for on the information facilitating side. But these are the products: customized bus service, a walking bus, which in South Africa means a security guard on a train. The security guard meets them at the station, and it's to make a train ride safe so people can actually use trains, which people can't at the moment because it can be too dangerous depending on the route you take. So security guard meets them at the station, gets onto the carriage with them, and then walks them to the front door of the office, which allows people to, it takes about 60% off their commute and makes it half the price. Car share options, this would only work on a larger scale again, but it's something we're thinking about. Transport management for big events, it could be Investec are doing some kind of conference and we could hone the carbon footprint of the event, and green auditing, which is decreasing the footprint of the company, the building, and you can make various cost savings, which Claire is an expert at. You saw the Switch website, and that'll be an example of where they can access information like carpooling software, information about what's available to them. We'll also try and lobby for things like showers, for bicycle lockers, and all of these things are value adds that we want to help change the mindset with. We're going to speak to them, we're going to open their minds, and then we're going to offer practical solutions that they can use now. Which brings me to what I think is the most important part of our job, and that again is the changing the mindsets, which is the biggest challenge. So we plan on doing workshops with employees of, say, Investec or Woolworths or the City of Cape Town, and talking them through what the possibilities are, and saying these are the services that are available now. And with that, they will begin to use our services. Without this, they can't. And this will allow the company to benefit from the various attributes that I've mentioned and will conclude with. So there we go. The main challenge is the current culture and mindset of commuters. Our argument to companies is that we can decrease their carbon footprint, we can make direct cost savings by freeing up parking bays that they're renting, we can give more time back to the employees, and that's increasing the employees' well-being. And the same goes for the employees themselves. We think we can make it a more pleasant commuting experience, decrease their carbon footprint, make a cost saving for their commute, and basically add value on either side. And with a net cost and lifestyle saving, we think we hope it's a no-brainer for the companies. Thank you very much.